What's up? It's Ron Wilkie, your cybersecurity AI quarterback. And today we're talking about DeepSeek. If you want to get at me, that's my information on the screen. Just go to my website, ronwilkie.com. And guess what? We can just talk about AI. You can look at some of my AI products. I just do it for fun. I love it. And so we're going to talk about DeepSeek this day. This presentation is all about DeepSeek because everybody's been going crazy about it. Because over the last couple of days, it's come out that China has its own open AI solution, and it runs very well at a fraction of the cost. And it's open source, so people can put any information in there and get any information out. So I am a cybersecurity and risk kind of guy. So what's the risk, and how do we mitigate it? So that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to necessarily talk about the technology, but we're going to talk about the threat and risk of open AI. So let's get at it. Let's go. DeepSeek, a new threat to American interests. Right. So what's the threat to America? Most of you all that are watching are probably in the States. The 3 or 5 viewers that I ever get, I never get any viewers. So anyway, to my 2 or 3 friends, what's the threat? Right? What's going on? What's the problem? Well, the problem is, first of all, open source models like DeepSeek can be accessed by anyone, right? And that's what I just talked about. Anybody can access it. Anybody can put information in it. So, because of that, now, can you trust it? How's it being used? Is it being used maliciously? You can use it to do disinformation. If anybody can put information in it, and especially if it's not owned by a particular country or a particular company, right? If there are no regulations, anybody can use it and put disinformation in it. So when you go and you put in a apple pie recipe, you ask it for that, you may get techniques to make something that could poison folks, right? So would you want to use that? So this is why it matters. You have to make sure that the models that you use when you are using OpenAI, that it is secure and that it is regulated, and that the information in it, in the knowledge base, in the model, make sure that information is audited to make sure there are no biases and things of that nature. Let's go forward. What else? What's another threat? Undermining export controls. So basically, information that is within a particular company, proprietary information, or information within a particular company, that information should be private, right? And because that information can now be accessed from a different country on a different open AI system, open source system, now that information is out and everybody can see it. Now that could be a threat as it relates to military threats. It could be used in any kind of warfare. So I'm going to coin a phrase of AI warfare in order to upseat any particular power or any particular country or any particular company, right? Because now they can control or have access to proprietary information. That's basically what that's talking about. Geopolitical power shift. So let me read this. The rise of open source AI models like DeepSeek could lead to global AI landscape dominated by Chinese platforms. Basically what that means is all of the information is being controlled by China's nation state, by China basically, right? So they have the ability to put whatever information in it and control who can actually get it. We've seen now how TikTok has been manipulated to a certain extent to gather information about U.S. citizens. This is that on times 100, right? So why does this matter? A shift in leadership towards China could impact global influence over AI ethics and standards. So ethically, we're talking about what information can come out of this open source AI model, because there are guardrails. And in my previous video, I talked about AI guardrails, but there are usually guardrails in place, and we're working toward those things. But in another country, they may not have those same guardrails. They may not audit the information. The knowledge base can easily be manipulated. So do you even trust it, right? But because if everybody's putting their information there, it's at a strategic advantage for that country that controls that information and the distribution of it, what it says and how it goes out. Right, that is very dangerous, very dangerous. So again, we're looking at the threats, the risk, if exploited, if they decided to exploit this, and for them to exploit it, basically a whole bunch of people have to use it. They put the information in, and basically one other thing is that the way they built it is that they took the information from Chat GPT Open AI model, right? Open Chat, basically. I misspoke that, Open Chat. So they took that information and built their own version of it using innovative techniques and technology so that it could run at capacity at great speeds with less costs. So that's why NVIDIA's chip stock went down today, because now why invest in NVIDIA if you don't need it to run this new technology AI, right? So the weaponization of OpenAI, like I said earlier, it can be used for propaganda. So you have to watch. Sometimes when you put in information or you ask even Open Chat GPT, it'll give you the wrong answer, but it says it confidently and you just automatically believe it. One, because it's coming from a computer. So you think everything is right, and 2 + 2 is going to equal 4 because it says so. But if the information is wrong, now that information that you're using is not reliable. And it can be weaponized against you because now you're believing what it says, and it could be inaccurate. It could be false. It could be lies. It could be propaganda. So you want to make sure that the AI that you are using is not being weaponized against you and can't be weaponized against you. So that's why for me personally, I'll use my own LLM on my own systems, on my own servers, and that because of that, I can put my own information in it and get the information I want out of it. I can use AI to do whatever analysis of whatever data that I need to analyze. So I know that data is not being weaponized against me. Now, you have to make sure your model is true, but that's why you use a model that's governed, right? That's being audited, monitored for true information. I could talk all day about this. I'm trying to make this video quick because this is really important. I think people just run to the newest platform and don't really consider the risk and threat to their way of life, just thinking that it's cheaper, so let me use it. So the erosion of proprietary advantage. So we kind of talked about this earlier. If people are using this technology, DeepSeek's open source AI, then there's no need to pour money into an American company like NVIDIA for chips, for innovation in technology. So you want to definitely make sure that you are investing in a company that is going to provide the proper information and has America's best interests at heart. Now, you could argue that usually it doesn't matter. It's just all about the money, right? So that's a different conversation to have. But this could lead to a race to the bottom where profit margins shrink and U.S. companies lose economic incentives to innovate. And the reason why I say this is because the way America works is all about making money. And if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. So if this is not going to make money now because of China's open source AI, then the innovation stops. Their innovation China's innovation continued to grow, but because there's no profit in America for it, then it stops. And so then we lose the technology race. All right, so how do we mitigate this threat? So if you know anything about me, I'm big into cyber risk. And one of the things in cyber risk, you can avoid the problem or the issue or the threat or the risk. You can accept it, you can transfer the risk, or you can mitigate it. And so I'm always a big proponent of mitigating if the cost is right. So how do you mitigate this threat? You strengthen support for America-led open source projects that align with U.S. values and interests. So basically, you don't use the DeepSeek version, you use the American versions, right? Well, you use the versions that best align with your beliefs, okay? Because, and the ones that you can trust the information is right. That goes into the enhanced regulation and monitoring. You want to make sure that the system that you're using has accurate, unbiased information in it. So you want to make sure that you're using the tools that are that have guardrails. Okay, and again, I mentioned guardrails in the previous video. You want to strengthen partnerships. So you want to collaborate, just like this video here. Put your comments in the comment section. All three of you that are watching, put your comments in the comment section, and let's talk about how we can strengthen our AI partnerships in order to make sure that the data is accurate, the data is secure, right? The knowledge base, the models. And if I'm being totally honest, all of these models, the top 4 or 5 now, they all have the same information. All of the world's information, known information, they're in there. It's now about how it processes them, right? So the difference now is, how do you secure those things? How do you distribute that information? How do you add to it? So now you're doing simulations. You're taking the information that's already in the knowledge base or in the model, and now you run simulations to get new information. So that's what we're doing now. You strengthen the partnerships and you continue to encourage innovation. So these are the things I think we should, do to mitigate this particular threat. And also our next steps. These are things we should think about. A challenge to U.S. as an AI leadership. Do we want to be the leaders? Of course, because the company or country that owns AI is a step ahead, 2 or 3 steps. Just like an employee that uses AI versus an employee that does not. You're going to find that the employee or the small business that uses AI at a huge advantage over a company that does not. Should the U.S. embrace or resist open source? That's a conversation to have, and I'm going to make another video about that soon. But put your comments in the comment section, all 3 of you that are watching this video. And the strategic response. How do we respond to this new threat from DeepSeek? Do we invest? Do we regulate? Do we stop regulation? Will regulating it slow down our technology advancements? Do we innovate? Do we continue to pour money into it? Do we continue to try, or do we go a different route? I mentioned the simulation of the model of the information that we already have to get more information, right? So there's some things in innovation that we can do that's the next level. So anyway, I'm Ron Wilkie, a cybersecurity quarterback. If you have any questions about cybersecurity or AI, feel free to call that number and you can test out my AI. That's my AI that I use, that I test with for front desk solution. So if you need a front desk solution, inbound, outbound calls, web chat, I can help you out with that because this is what I like to do for fun. All right. So I'll talk to you all later and you all have a great day.